Well, my name is Carl Skaggs, and I've been involved in fundraisers in the Somerset area for the last several years, probably 8 or 9 years. And it seems like when there's a good cause needing help, that people come to me now that we've had a lot of success in doing those benefits. And this particular benefit, it kind of touches home because one of our members of the Jammers, Lake Cumberland Jammers, also is an employee of Kingsford. So that's part of the reason why I got involved. I think the Jim Stout, who's the employee there, about a month ago asked me if he thought we could do a benefit to help these 4 families that were involved in the tragedy at Kingsford, and without hesitation I said absolutely we could. At the time I didn't have any idea what we could do other than the fact that we would try to do something. And then the Hootenanny idea came from another member of the Jammers, Marianne Kellerman, who about a year and a half ago handed me a booklet that had the history and the story of the Hootenanny show that was popular in the mid-'60s. And as a young man in my early 20s at that time, I remember watching it. And I said, well, it was a great variety show. Unfortunately, it was like a shooting star. It was real bright and good at the time, but it didn't last very long. It got into a political situation and went off the air. So, but I do remember fondly the acts and the way it was paced. So I thought, well, we had already done the Hee Haw show, and this would be kind of maybe a fond reminiscence of the old days. And I thought, well, that would be a good way to set up the show. And then I started looking for entertainers that would maybe satisfy a variety of an audience from young to old and everywhere in between. And that's how the Hootenanny show came about, as a result of trying to do something for these 4 families that are going to be, unfortunately, impacted for years because of this tragedy. Well, we have worked up, I think, a great program, and it's kind of features 3 local bands and performing acts, starting with the Mountain Connection, which is a very highly thought of bluegrass group. And then following them will be members of the Lake Cumberland Jammers filling in and doing their thing, which is also a variety of different kinds of music, going everything from country to gospel to bluegrass to comedy and to folk music. And I think they'll do their part trying to entertain the folks. But then right after that we have a tremendous group that is locally has a great following, and that is the Out of Order Band, and that features Dr. Cameron and Dr. Frost, Gene Richardson, Ken Wesley, and I forgot the other fellow's name, but I'll get it for you, Steve Kirkpatrick. And they have entertained and helped us raise money for different fundraisers in the past, and they very quickly agreed to do this show. And then one of my all-time favorites that helped me in the early days of our fundraising career when we needed to raise funds for the restoration of the old Pisgah Schoolhouse was the Classic Times Rock and Roll Band. And everybody that's heard them just loves them. And they're reminiscent of my growing up in the 50s, which I did. I graduated high school in 1958, so I was right in the middle of rock and roll in those days. In fact, in St. Louis, Missouri, I fondly remember as a car hop at one of the famous drive-in restaurants in St. Louis, waiting on Chuck Berry, and that was a highlight of my 50s career as a car hop. And he was a great entertainer, and he became a regular at the drive-in. So, in memory of those days that I fondly enjoyed, I wanted to get the Classic Times because I want to end the show on a real upbeat, and they can do that, and they will do that. So those are the 3 main acts, but the Lake Cumberland Jammers will add a lot to the show. Being a part of all this Somerset fundraising process in the last 7 or 8 years, I developed a relationship with a lot of great people in Somerset. And Ward Corral and Cumberland Lake Shell has always been there as a supporter. So naturally, I went to them, and they agreed right away to be a part of this. And then we also have Wheelan's Appliances, Key Real Estate, Sully's Restaurants. Let me just make sure I don't forget anybody here, because we do have Epperson's and Modern Distributors, South Midway Supply, Kingsford Manufacturing, of course, being the primary backer of the program, and of course the Center for Rural Development, who has graciously donated the use of the center and will help make this outstanding show successful because of the size of the audience that we can put in the building. And we fully expect to have 760 seats filled, which will be the maximum that we can get into the theater. So hopefully you, if you're listening to this conversation, you'll be part of that audience. We would like to invite everyone that can be in town on December the 2nd at 7 o'clock to attend this Holiday Hootenanny performance at the Center for Rural Development on December 2nd at 7 o'clock. And we have tickets available at the Center for Rural Development. They are a $12 donation, and also that phone number, by the way, is 606-677-6000. And if you can or would like to, you can call my number, which is 606-677-2906, and I have tickets available. We hope to have a full house, and we hope that you'll be part of this fantastic, fun show, which will totally support the 4 families that have been impacted by the tragedy that happened in September at Kingsford. 100% of all the funds raised from ticket donations will go entirely to those 4 families. It's our goal to raise $10,000. We feel that we are going to be very close to that, if not surpass that, by the middle or latter part of November. So if you haven't got a ticket yet and you'd like to see a great show and at the same time make a contribution of these 4 families, you can do so by contacting the Center for Rural Development. Again, that phone number is 606-677-6000, or Carl Skaggs at 606-677-2906, and the tickets are a $12 donation, and we hope to see you all there.